Redzone In the Lab podcast.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's Benjamin St. Jude, DB for the Washington Commanders. I want to give a big shout out to Redzone In the Lab podcast.
Welcome back. This is Redzone In the Lab podcast. I am Deuce, and joining me today for our special Wednesday series throughout the season, we got all the way straight from Atlanta, Souf. What's good, Souf?
What's going on, everybody? What's going on, Deuce? What's going on, Ken?
And everyone knows Ken Johannesen, writer, Riggs Ragger. How you doing today, Ken?
I'm doing pretty good. Looking forward to the game this weekend. Want to go 2-0.
Yes, most definitely. So let's get right into it. Let's talk some ball. Let's kind of wrap up Sunday's game versus the Cardinals. Right, it's Wednesday, so like Sam said in his interview, it's time to move on. Right, so our QB1 said it's time to move on. It's time to move on. But let's start with you, Souf. What are like the worst overreaction from the fan base from Sunday's game?
I want to say O-line was playing bad, and I want to say Logan Thomas, but like I'm one of those people too that called him out. So, but Logan Thomas and the O-line plays. I think those are the two biggest overreactions we had.
What about you, Ken?
I think for me, the absolute biggest overreaction is Cody Barton. No, he did not have a good name, and the PFF score was pretty bad, but it's his first game in this defense. And he's a player that learns pretty quickly. He led Seattle last year in tackles, and I think he's going to bounce back in a big way. So let's hold back on the criticism. If this is a trend and continues for the next 2, 3, 4 games, then yes, there are some concerns there. But let's not overreact at this moment.
Yeah, and for me, of course, the worst overreaction was the offensive line. I mean, y'all see me on Twitter on my time. I've been defending these guys all the way back since the Browns game, and you know, when you watching the game, it's very impossible to watch tape. You can't do both at the same time, right? So, I think that's one of the biggest overreactions from our fan base is how poorly the offensive line is playing. When you actually look at the tape and you actually watch it, then you realize that they're not as bad as you thought they was watching the game live, right? So, two key takeaways from this past game: offense, defense, special teams. Whatever key takeaways you want to take away from this game that we can build forward to against the Broncos. We start with you, Ken.
I would say that let's get more passes to Antonio Gibson. He's not an inside runner. He never has been. And we saw once again he fumbled the ball. Don't put him on the inside. That's just not his bread and butter. If you're going to play him once in a while at running back, at true running back, have him bounce to the outside. Just have a play design where he can run to the outside. He's not an inside runner. So I think it's right now, I'm sure Eric Bieniemy saw that, and hopefully those adjustments will be made going forward. The other concern, obviously, is Sam Howell holding on to the ball too long. And he's a quick learner, and that was his problem in game 1 of the preseason. In games 2 and 3 of the preseason, we saw that he came out, was quick, decisive, going through his progressions, and he did so effectively. So I'm looking for a bounce-back game from him, and I'll look for him to be pretty solid the rest of the season.
What about you, Souf? What are some key takeaways from the Cardinals game?
A couple takeaways. I think the defense is for real. I think the defense is going to keep us in most of the games this year, like they did last year. And I will say Sam Howell has some guts. He's got some guts. He's gonna give it his all every time. Kind of Taylor Heineke-esque, if you ask me.
Now look, you got to put 50 cents. Got to put 50 cents in a half job. Look, Ken. So on Twitter in his spaces, anytime somebody says that name, they got to put 50 cents in the hive jar.
Yeah, so he's got a little bit of that to him, but he's obviously a better passer of the ball than good old TH7 was, or TH4. I forgot what number. But anyway, yeah, those are my two takeaways really from this first game.
Yeah, for me, it's kind of sort of what Ken was, right? Run, when we're using Gibby to make sure that we're using him correctly. It seems to me he has an issue when he's running in traffic, right? Running in traffic, going down to the grounds where he has his issues of fumbling. He didn't have to do that a lot last year because of Brian Robinson. We got to remember at Memphis, he was a athlete, right? He wasn't like a wide receiver. He was an athlete. They used him all over, and he was more so used to working in open space. And when you take someone that's used to working from open space and you put him in closed space, you start to see the fumbles because the way that you will go down around open space is different. So they able to grab his arm, hit the ball out, and those different types of things. And the second takeaway is Cole Turner. We need to get him involved more. We need to get him more snaps. I think he had 14 snaps Sunday. I think that will increase this Sunday. And I'm thinking by week 6 or 7 is where we will see him getting more snaps than Logan Thomas. So let's stay right there with Logan Thomas in the tight end room real quick. Souf, what's your take on Logan Thomas, which I already know, but tell the people.
I don't really know what to say about it, man. Like, I feel like he's getting long in the tooth and it's kind of showing. Like, he's never been the fastest guy. And like I don't want to say he got slower, but he's not fast. And now he's dropping passes. So it's like, what are you doing out here, buddy? Blowing blocks. And I get it. Like, there's some plays that you're not supposed to block a defensive end with a tight end, but every team in the league does it. So like,
that's right.
So for us to see that every week or every time it happens and then call it out, because it's the biggest misassignment in the game, and then it's a sack for us essentially every time. It's bad. Like, I don't know what else to say. Like, if he can't be out there, he shouldn't be out there.
What's your take, Cam? Because like when we think about Logan, in those two passes he dropped was very critical. It was on third downs. It was two possessions in a row, and Sam put the ball where he was going to be. He had an opportunity to catch it and also to get some yak with it, right? And he dropped both of them. Cole Turner comes in and he makes one of the best catches we've seen from a tight end in a very long time. So what's your take on the tight end?
I don't want to say it's premature to write him off, but he was targeted 8 times on Sunday. He had 4 catches. He did end up having 4 catches, I think, for something like 41 or 43 yards. So it wasn't a bad day, but it wasn't a good day because the drops, even though they were early on in the game, I think he redeemed himself to a small point, as the game went on. So the drops are a little bit troubling. But again, I remember back in his initial season with Washington in 2020, the first 4 or 5 games were not good. We saw something similar to what we saw in this first game. And then we saw what happened. He had 72 catches on the year, I believe around 800 yards. So I would say let's give it another game or two, but I will also say this. I would definitely like to see Cole Turner more. I realize you need to have John Bates on the field in running situations, but in passing situations, Bates does not need to be on the field. I mean, people may say, well, Cole Turner's not much of a blocker. Well, neither is Logan Thomas. I mean, he does block a little bit as well as Turner. Actually, Turner's getting a little bit better from what I can see. So during those passing downs, I would be okay with having both of them on the field. Let's get the defense guessing, because in the Bieniemy offense, Tight ends are heavily used. We know that. If you have two good ones out there, and I believe we do have two good ones in Thomas and in Turner, get them out there. Let's keep the defenses guessing.
Yeah, and Cole Turner is a much better blocker than what he was last year.
Yeah.
You can tell he's been working on it. He's a better inline blocker, and that's who Bates is. That's why Bates is always on the field, just to give that impression that we're going to run the football, and also maybe help out with on some tackles. But I really believe that Cole Turner is going to eventually take over this time. I mean, because it's supposed to happen this way, right? They drafted him to be the future starting tight end, so we need to start, getting into that mode to kind of embedding him into that starting role for sure. All right, let's do some position grades. Let's do the defense first, and we'll start with Souf. We're going to do the secondary, and out of the secondary, you're just going to let us know, out of those, who was the best player in the secondary outside of the grades.
Cam Curl had to be, and I don't really see any other guy challenging that. He was the best. He was the best guy in secondary. Like, hold on, Siri acting crazy. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
No. Hold on, Siri's acting crazy. Hold on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. Siri's asking me questions in my ear, and I don't know why. Cam Curl, because played good, like as a unit, but he just was head and shoulders better than everybody else.
All right. What about you, Ken? The secondary. Give us a grade and who was the best player.
I would give the secondary probably a B plus, if not an A. Just to let you know, on Hogs Haven this week, if you go read my article, I graded every position. So
Yep.
I'm a cheat code right now.
Yep.
But some people disagreed with me as far as the overall grades. But the reason I graded highly was Kendall Fuller had a solid game. It just seems like with each passing game over these last couple of years, he just gets better and better, and he's not aging at all. So that's a good thing. Emmanuel Forbes, my goodness, he flashed a little bit on Sunday, and at the end of the game, he had the ball that was batted down to help preserve the victory. And if you watch him coming out of that break, the wide receiver was open, and then a flash, he was in front of that receiver. And honestly, I think that could have been an interception, but no big deal because it was a fourth down. So why not bat it down? Because that way you're a little bit further downfield. Cam Curl, that's my choice as well. But Derek Forrest, he continues to prove that last year was no fluke. So if I had to single out someone from Sunday other than Cam Curl, it would be Kendall Fuller. And hopefully that trend continues. And again, I'll go ahead and give the group an A, really, overall.
For me, I'm gonna do B plus, because they dropped 3 picks, and I need them to catch those picks. That's going to make us elite. That's what we were lacking last year. They all made elite coverage on all 3 of those plays. Percy Butler, elite coverage, great coverage. Cam Curl, great coverage. And, of course, Forbes had great coverage. They did everything but actually catch the football. So that's what we need them to do. We drafted Forbes to flip the field, and that's what I need him to do. I need you to flip the field. You was the best to do it last year as far as flipping the field and also scoring touchdowns with the pick sixes. And shoot, that probably could have been one. The way the offense looked like it was flowing one way, he could have caught that and reverse track and take it back in stride. He definitely had an opportunity, and the crowd would have definitely went off. So, and my player I want to pull out is Forbes. Even though Forbes came out when they went 12 personnel, he came out of the game. But all that game, especially the entire fourth quarter, he was playing a lot of bait, right? It's like he was purposely playing bait, trying to see if Dobbs would test him, and then he ended up testing him in the last play. I think he had great coverage in that game. I'm looking forward to him having a big year. And I think he understands the speed of the game. He understands the difference between OTA speed, preseason speed, and now regular season speed. They're all three different speeds. I think he's ready for it. If that exact play would have happened the next play, he would have caught the interception. You get your hands on the ball, you definitely need to catch it. All right, let's go. Do we want to do the linebackers?
Wait, before we go on, dudes, I do think the secondary is going to be more tested this week rather than it was last week. Because last week against the Cardinals, who was a threat? Like Hollywood Brown? Who's he throwing to? Zach Ertz? I mean, well, they weren't really doing anything. So we'll see what Sean Payton and company has. We'll see what they do, but it was nice to see.
Yeah, I agree. And the same thing gonna be in Denver, really. I mean, most of their receivers are hurt. The tight end is hurt.
But Russ,
I mean, P Ryan led the team. We know P Ryan, he led the team in receiving yards. So, you know what I'm saying? It's looking pretty good for us. It might be another day. You know what I'm saying? I just want to shout out John for joining, Big Doug, Chase, Big Simple, Allison. That's my twin right there, Souf. Aisha, that's my twin.
Is it really?
My man Hawk is in the building. Yep, steady conducting in the lab. That's right, man. Big Simple in the building. Russell Wilson is washed. Yes, he is.
No.
They going 3-14. I've been saying it since the offseason. As soon as they hired Sean Payton, I said they're going 3-14.
So when we do the Denver preview in a few, I have something to say about Russell Wilson.
Oh, you got something to say?
Well, there's an X factor there.
Yeah, Barton I think he had a PFF grade of like 34. He was like one of the worst graded people on the roster.
Yeah, he had a bad day.
Yeah. All right. Do we need to do linebackers? I don't think we need to do linebackers. Do y'all want to do? I'll do linebackers. Jamin Davis is the default better player, but I'm still going to give them a C-. I think he has 6 tackles, but he's not attacking the football. Barton is not playing downfield. Jamin is still looking out of place on a lot of those running plays, especially when the running back is stretching wide on an off tackle run. So to me, he got much better last year to his rookie year, but this year, I don't know. It's just all through camp and through this first game, it just doesn't seem like he's getting better. But Ken, what's your thought on the linebackers?
Well, the grade I gave the linebackers was a bit generous. I was grading on the curve. I was grading on potential in the upcoming games. And I probably should have been honest about the assessment. I think that Barton obviously did not have a good game. I think Davis is getting better at the point of attack. He really is. He's zeroing in better than ever from what I see. He still has a couple of issues, and I think that in the coming games he's going to be really a linebacker that many across the league is going to talk about.
What about you, Souf?
I don't know what to say about him. I want to know what's it going to take for Khalid Hudson to get some PT.
Yes,
I don't know.
He got zero. He got 0 snaps, none. So I want to know how bad does somebody have to be for him to start playing? Because Cody Barton, I know one of our good friends, Mark, he posted a lot of clips on Twitter about Cody Barton just getting blocked out of the play, but blocked out of the screen. And like we were at the game, so like I couldn't really tell what was going on. But afterwards, I saw those clips and I was like, what's happening? What's happening here? Why is he getting blocked off the screen? But I don't know. I want to see Khalil Cutson. Feel like he's faster. He's more athletic. I thought he did good in that Cowboys game last year, so I thought he was going to get some more PT, but obviously he's not. So I don't know what's going on with it. As a unit, I got to give him C minus.
Yeah, that's
Barely
exactly
passing.
where I'm at. That's exactly where I'm at. They have to get better. Kaliki only plays specials, and Barton, he has the green dot, but I don't know, man. Like we have to do something. We have to do something there. All right, so D line, like D line. What do we think about on the D line? We'll start with you, Souf.
T-Line, I got to give him A minus. Sweat balling, John Allen balling, Deron Payne balling, and whoever that fourth guy is on the other side was doing their job.
JSW.
Whoever that guy was.
Whoever it was, he was doing their job.
Whoever James Smith Williams is.
Yeah, he had one-on-ones all game long. He needs to win those. He was doing it. He was doing his job. Yeah, A minus. Good job, fellas.
It seems like to me Casey Toohill had a pretty good game too. The guy Abdullah Anderson, I think. What his name
Abdullah
is.
Anderson from Atlanta.
He had a couple good reps. But yeah, man, A plus, man. I mean, Deron Payne and John Allen is just different animals. I mean, my goodness, these two guys, man, they are animals. You know what I mean? And Sweat showed up when you wanted him to. When you needed a play, he showed up.
Mm-hmm.
He showed up. I think he had 1.5 sacks, 5 tackles for loss. The guy showed up. A forced fumble. He showed up. So where you at, Cam?
I gave him an A, and that's what I'm standing on. I think Mark Schlereth had a very good point in that game in the second half where he said, nowadays with defensive lines, you need to have 8 players that are good, that can start. You need to be, elite on the front 4, and then you need to have another 4 that can come in and start and give you productive minutes. And that's what Washington has. Obviously, that line is elite. The backups prove themselves. What a game from Casey Toohill, James Smith Williams, Abdullah Anderson. I mean, it was just solid top to bottom. And I saw no real deficiencies. You can nitpick a little bit in the first half, but in the second half, that unit came out with a purpose. They had fire in their eyes. And I think after that one series in the second half where Washington had a chance to score a touchdown and they didn't, they came out and they looked really, for lack of a better term, pissed. I mean, totally pissed. And they got a great turnover deep in Cardinals territory. And Washington converted. And to me, that was the turning point of the game. And you have to give the D-line all the credit in the world for really winning that game.
Let's go to the running backs. Let's flip sides. Let's go to the running backs. Man, I was very surprised to see C-Rob come in on the very first drive for a 3rd and 1 when B-Rob was fresh. I don't know if B-Rob had equipment malfunction or what that was about. And I think he had like a couple more carries after that. So that's definitely something to look forward to. Of course, Gibby had the fumble. We talked about that earlier. And the vision is becoming an issue. They're starting to question the vision, even of B-Rob's. B-Rob has some good vision at Alabama South. You saw a lot of their games. But it just seems like this summer into this first game, he's running in behind a lot of the old linemen, even when there are holes and there are lanes that he can do jump cuts to get to it. I kind of wonder if last year, because Gibby was so bad and our offensive line was so bad that we gave him the benefit of doubt as often as we saw him run into the back of the lineman and kind of pushing pals to get down the field. But Ken, do you think that's going to be an issue with Brian Robinson moving forward? Do you think it's kind of like him learning the scheme, or do you just think he lacks vision?
I don't think he lacks vision. I think we have a track record that prove he doesn't lack vision. I think it's what you said, adjusting to the system. And I look for good things in the coming weeks. I think Denver is going to be a good test because they have a good defensive line as well. And but I still look for him to gradually improve. Running backs like him who love to run inside and bang inside, they welcome that contact. And I think you're going to see him doing more of that, actually. And the offensive line is just going to improve in the run game. And I could see, after contact, him picking up 3, 4, 5 more yards, which in the second half of the season, he was doing that for Washington. And when he came back from that unfortunate injury, he was tentative early on, kind of like what we saw in this first game. But when you look at the stats, he had, I think it was 11 carries for 59 yards. So overall, it was pretty good. And I think we saw him getting a little bit stronger as the game goes on. And I think that's what we'll see as the season goes on. No other player had more than 9 yards rushing. That's not a good stat.
It's not honestly. A good stat.
Chris Rodriguez needs to be in there more. Okay. And Gibson needs to be used and, more of a passing running back on those third downs. So hopefully they get to that and Rodriguez gets more playing time. And I would even like to see him come in early on a series and run the whole series. Let him get playing time because he's good. And I think Robinson and Rod will prove to be a lethal combination. And Gibson coming out of the backfield, third down, I think that's the way that I think they'll go. As far as the grade I would give them, I'm going to repurpose that grade to a C, which is not bad, but it needs to be, we need to get more touches for Chris Rodriguez.
Most definitely. Someone said Chase Young is making me mad. He's making everybody mad. Like, whatever you want to do, Chase Young, just do it. Just do it and get it over with. Jonathan Allen did play a ton of snaps. And actually him and Payne had played a ton of snaps last year, at least over 90% of the snaps. And that was concerning for me. And I'm glad they was able to stay healthy for as long as they were. But I think Ridgeway only got 14 snaps, which is very, very surprising. I thought he would garner more snaps. We got to keep these guys healthy for 17 games. And yeah, we do need to run the ball, especially early. Dave, I don't know why he looks slow, man. Like, I don't know why he looks slow. I mean, he's thinner. He's in shape. He looks good, especially when you see him up close. So I don't know why he looks slow, man. Alice, I forgot. Let me tell y'all, she's a Eagles fan. So that's she's an Eagles fan, and we don't. She's right, but she's very good with numbers. Like if you follow her on Twitter, she keeps very good numbers. Nothing wrong with shotgun, but we have to go under center sometimes with B-Rob. That may be something, that may be something for them to consider. But where you are with the running back, Souf?
I gotta give them a C based on this past game. They're pretty underwhelming. With B-Rob's vision, I almost want to say we have 4 new O-linemen, so it's week 1. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt based on that because he probably doesn't know, who's pushing, who's giving up a little bit so he can make a cut. So I want to say that. So I'm going to give it to him as week 1. Gibson, tired of seeing him fumble. Rodriguez, I mean, I don't know if they just brought him in there to just run the ball on 3rd and 1, but it just seemed like they were, and it was kind of, I don't know, it was just our running game was super underwhelming, and like I thought that was going to be our strong point because you Nick Gates was supposed to be this big nasty guy at center.
Mm-hmm.
Cosme, big nasty at right guard. And then left guard Sadiq was blowing people up in the preseason. So I'm like, all right, we're going to have some push. Where was it? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know where it was at. So I'm going to give him a C. I'm going to give B-Rob the benefit of the doubt that he just doesn't know where to go yet, who he can trust behind that line to hit the hole when he needs to.
All right, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back and talk about the offensive line, wide receivers, and the quarterbacks.
What's going on? This is Steve from Command This Podcast. You can watch our show on YouTube, or you can catch it anywhere you get any of your audio podcast platforms. Apple, Google, Spotify, iHeart, it doesn't matter. We're on there. Peace and hail.
All right. Let's go and get the O-line out the way since we talking about running the football south. They're individually they're not great. They're mid. I mean, some can argue. I can argue that Leno is above average. The numbers back it up. Even that game, he was rated like one of the number one tackles in the league. His win rate was ranked number 11. Wiley was number 16. They had tons of double teams, and when you look at double teams, they're talking about chips more so, and I'm fine with that. Like I would never argue that one-on-one they can beat tons of people. It's all about collectively as a unit. That's why I'm not worried. Scheme, chipping, quick throws, quick passes. I think all those will hide the major deficiencies that we have. If we want these guys to be trying to go out there and win one-on-one, that's going to be an issue for sure. But Souf, where you at with the offensive line?
Yeah, as a unit, I'm gonna give them a B-. I think they did their job above adequately. I think Sam kind of put them in a tough situations, a couple of times. And if y'all saw his presser today, he said it himself. He kind of was trying to do too much sometimes. Yeah, B-, C+. I'm kind of teetering, so flip a coin, give them that grade. But yeah, as a unit, I think they did decent. And I also think the Cardinals D-line unit was better than I thought they were going to be, and I'm pretty sure they played us better than the line thought they were going to play. So,
what about you, Ken?
I think you made good points about individually on the line. There were some good things. Sam Cosme was a beast. I mean, allowing 0 pressures on the quarterback. Graded pretty much one of the highest right guards in the league this past week. Charles Leno graded very highly in run blocking. So here's a hint, run to the left side. I think we actually saw the left side. There was plenty of open space several times, and it's because of Charles Leno. I think Nick Gates in this game could have done a little bit better, but at center, at what point will we have our young rookie come in? He played briefly when Cosme had to go out for a play or two. So I would like to see was it Romberg?
Stromberg.
Huh?
Ricky Stromberg.
Mm-hmm. I don't know why I keep getting that name wrong. You would think I would know our own players, but Stromberg came in for 2 or 3 plays, and he was solid. But then again, Cosme has that position locked up. So what I would like to see is Stromberg come in at center sometime soon and then move Nick Gates over to left guard. I think you might have a very good combination across the board at that point. Again, it's nothing against Sadiq Charles. He, to me, was the weak link on Sunday. I mean, he blatantly missed 3 or 4 blocks during that game, and it led to a couple of 3 sacks. And I know most of it was on Sam Howell himself. He needs a quicker delivery, quicker decision making, and all. But Sadiq Charles, I don't want to write him off right now, but he needs to quickly prove that he can handle that left guard position. And at that point, I would start to look at Stromberg and the Gates switch as like what I was talking
about. The wide receivers. I think we have one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL. I still think the enemy is figuring out how to use Samuel, which I think is kind of a little frustrating because he's not Cheetah whatsoever, but he has a skill set that's similar to that. You can use him. He's very good in a window. He can make you miss in a phone booth. He has all of those different tangibles. Of course, you got Terry, Jahan. I think this week is going to be great because they have Patrick Surtain. So I haven't watched the game yet with the Broncos game last week. So I know somebody was telling me that he followed Devontae Adams. Someone said they don't think he did. So I want to watch it to see if that's what Surtain did last week. And if so, who I'm thinking is going to be Terry. But then you leaving the other corner vulnerable against Jahan because I really believe we have 2 number 1 receivers. So that's going to be something to watch. But Ken, when you look at our wide receivers and how they're being used, kind of grade this past Sunday, and what do you think Bieniemy needs to do to give them more opportunities to make plays?
I'd give the group maybe a B plus, a B definitely, maybe even an A minus. They made some really good catches, but they didn't get the ball enough. That's the problem. So I'm almost tempted to go with a grade of incomplete. But you can't really do that here, so I won't. So I'll stick with B plus. Curtis Samuel was the leading receiver for Washington on Sunday. He had 5 catches, 54 yards. But then again, you had Terry McLaurin with 31 yards on 2 catches. You had Jahan Dawson, I believe, had 4 catches for 40 yards. They need more than that. All 3 of them need more than that, period. And I know De'Ami Brown was wide open on one play. I've covered that on Twitter quite a bit. Everybody really bemoaned that play. But Sam Howell went through his progressions, and he hit the 3rd read overall. So the play worked as designed. And if you look just for an instant when De'Ami was out on the boundary initially, he was covered by the strong safety at that point. So Sam Howell would have had to, throw a loft pass at that point. At that point, the free safety is over there pretty quickly. So it would have been a pretty good gain, but I don't think it would have been a touchdown. Now, had it happened a split second later, yeah, De'Ami's open for a touchdown. So I think that you need to have at least 2 of those players getting 100 yards every game. And the third one, maybe 50 to 70 yards. I mean, we're talking, like you said, 2 number 1 receivers and another one that's, I don't want to say he's a gadget player, but Curtis Samuel is a very good receiver. And once you get him in those open intermediate routes within the perimeter, he can pick you up a good quick 18 or 22 yards. So to me, 54 yards, 40 yards, 31 yards, that's not cutting it.
Yeah, I think Curtis was the best weapon out there. So what about you, Souf?
Yeah, I got to give the unit a B. I'm kind of with Ken on the incomplete type thing. I think I speak for a lot of the fans. We're just not happy with the underutilization of the talent that they have on offense. Like you got Curtis, you got Terry, you got Jahan. Do something with these guys. Teams don't have them. So do something. And to your point, that you made earlier about Patrick Surtain following Devontae, he did follow him, and the guy that was covering Jacoby Myers, who had like a career
Yeah, he
day,
went crazy. Yeah.
that guy
Woo.
who's gonna cover him is gonna be Jahan. He's gonna cover Johannesen. So Jahan should be going crazy on Sunday. If the same thing happens, Jahan should go crazy. And to me, Jahan is a little bit better than Jacoby Myers at receiver.
Yeah, a
So
little bit better. I think he's a whole lot better.
well, I didn't want to, I don't want to say it like that, but
I'll say
he's
it.
better than
I'll
that.
say it.
And then you got Curtis, out here just being underutilized. I don't really know what's going on. But yeah, I'm gonna give him a B. But they need more volume. All three of those guys need volume. If somebody's covered, the other guy should get force fed, 8 to 10 times a game. Easy.
Yeah, I can't wait. I can't wait to see it. Like Unc was saying, yeah, the tight ends need to unlock the offense by controlling the hashes. Like, if we can just have somebody that's some sort of a threat in between, in between the hashes, in the middle of the field, man, we can really open up some damage downfield with these guys. So Logan, you got to catch the ball, sir. Catch the ball. Davin said, yeah, he's excited to see the offense open up more as the season continues. Week 1 is always sloppy. We will definitely play. Yeah, I agree. And this is Bieniemy's first game. Like, regardless if you believe that he helped call plays in Kansas City, he helped build the plays, he helped scheme, and whatever you want to believe, what we know for sure is that this was his first game from top to bottom. Like, it was his script, his playbook that he built, his top 15 plays, the way he wants to run them. All this was Eric Bieniemy, and this was his first time doing it. Yes, I do believe I'm full home on Eric Bieniemy, as I said 100 times. But it still was his first time, right? And I think that he's a good enough coach to build from that, to see his wrongdoings, see what he could do better and get better on next week. So that's why I am when it comes to this offense. But quarterback, Sam Howell. I'm gonna go ahead and start it off. So just in case y'all think y'all need to be shy on here, but I'm gonna give him a C minus. He's still like it. Sometimes it seems as though, like, we talk about holding the football. We go back to the preseason. You hold it. You say you need to let it go. You got to get an O-line opportunities. You come back. You get the ball out quick. You play better in the pocket. Then you come right back and do the same thing that you did over. Like, you have to be consistent with this. Like, you have to consistently be better. And this was the first game, right? So I'm willing to give him a pass because the adrenaline, it's not like the week 18 game when it's like, I'm just going in here, I'm going to play, no pressure. But this is actually pressure. Like, this stuff actually matters. But his fight, his composure is not rookie like. It's not second year player like. It's not second game starting like he's out there like a vet. He's unmoved. You can't move him off his line. He's 10 toes down. His feet is where he's at, as those guys always say over there at Commanders Park. And that right there shows me that he can be the guy. He can be the guy. For them to boo him at the stadium or EB, whoever they were booing, for him to come right back and score that touchdown was amazing to see. But I need to see consistency from Sam Howell because he's not no regular second-year quarterback. Like, you have this year to prove, or you have to go into this season thinking like, I have to prove that I'm that guy this year, because we just don't know what's going to happen next year. So it's a lot of pressure. How do you feel about him, Ken, his performance?
Well, it's obvious you read my article because I gave him a C minus as well. So thank you for that. But no, in all seriousness, that's the grade I would give him at this point. I look at that first preseason game where he struggled, and there were concerns. The fans were concerned. I'm sure the coaches were concerned. But you look at that second game, the second preseason game, he comes out on fire. Great game. Of course, it helps that you've had a week to prepare in the Bieneme system. And yeah, you're probably playing against second stringers at that point. I get it. But then again, the following week, he repeated that performance. So I look for something better in these next, few weeks. And I don't think we'll see the game one jitters again. And so it'll go from there. And we're in a pause.
Oh no.
Hey, sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, like Simple was saying, yes, we have to be patient. We definitely have to be patient, man.
Well, I don't think we have to be patient for very long, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think that he'll pick it up quickly. I mean, I think in the second half he was looking a little more decisive. You look at some of those rifle bullets that he threw. My goodness. And they were right on target. So he was starting to show a little bit of that in the second half. So again, kudos to the defense for turning the game around on one play, and Sam Howell took advantage of it. So I'm looking for good things going forward.
Where you at with it, Souf?
I'm gonna give him a C. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody kind of expected more from him, and not to make. And like, yeah, we have to like sometimes think about it like it's his second game, like it's his second game being a starter. And I think everyone loves that he gets through his third progression, but sometimes I don't know about you guys, I get nervous at watching him just look left and look right and then maybe try to look left again. I'm just like, come on, throw it to somebody. And I think that's what he was trying to do a lot of the game. He was trying to just get through 2-3 progressions, and sometimes you just can't. And so I'm gonna give him a C. He made plays when he needed to. He had that. He scrambled for that one touchdown. He threw that other one to B-Rob. So just based on that, I'm gonna give him a C.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think most of the fan base is there, and we all know he's going to get better. I believe he's definitely going to get better. All right, so let's do some players of the game: offense, defense, special teams. We'll start with special teams. Who you got, Ken?
Trust Way. I mean, my goodness. I mean, how can you argue putting 3 punts inside the 20-yard line? And then to close out the game, he puts it inside the 10-yard line. And he booted it high, if you notice that. And it gave the coverage unit time to go down there and surround the returner. The returner tried to do a 360, and it was just going nowhere. And that's how the game ended. So trust Way, period.
I love it. Who you got, Souf?
I want to give it to Trustway, but now I can't. I either want to give it to the coverage unit because they were playing crazy, or as much slack as as much as we pick on Joey Sly, he did what he had to do.
Yeah.
I know we hate field goal kickers and we need a new one every week, but he did his job. So I'm gonna actually give it to Joey Sly.
Cool. I see you. Yeah, Howell will have better numbers than Garoppolo against Denver. I'm expecting him to, and he should. Andy from the UK. You still jet lag, Andy? I thought you would be asleep right about now, man.
Yeah.
The clock over there.
Yeah. Appreciate you for joining us. I'm going with Jeremy Reeves. Like, how can you not? I mean, this guy was down there first every time. He get the crowd hype. And then, his documentary came out yesterday, so I'm a little in my feels about him. So, Jeremy Reeves, man, I think we're gonna have one of the top special teams again for sure. Uncle Sam was the MVP of the game. He did it all, bad and good. Pass for a touchdown, run for a touchdown.
One thing I'll say about
that.
Yeah, one thing I'll say about that pass for the touchdown, there's a new angle that came out yesterday, and he let it go sidearm at the right time because four defenders all of a sudden were in the path. He had about a split second to get that in there, and he did.
That was a beautiful pass.
Yeah,
beautiful pass, just beautiful. Yep, Jeremy, and I think David said we could do D line. He said for the defense to hold D line. You got to pick somebody, Davin. You can't go to hold. You got to pick one. Pick one. I'll start. I'm going to go John Allen. I mean, the guy's different. Like he's an animal. He's quiet, but he's fierce at the same time, man. Like I'm glad we got on our team, man. He was definitely dominant yesterday, Sunday. What about you, Ken?
No, Sal goes first on this one because I stole his last time.
Yeah, well, Dude stole mine this time. So yeah, so I gotta go. I want to say Montez Sweat because he showed up when he needed to show up. But John is just so consistent. Like John will give you a second down sack when Montez will give you a third down sack when we need it.
That's a good point, man.
But John will give you a second down sack. Nobody's expecting him to get a sack on second down. You think they're gonna run the ball as a play action pass? He in the backfield making a sack. So I'm gonna give it to John.
My turn. Well, I mean, you both left it wide open for me, and I have two other choices, and I'm tempted to go with Casey Toohill because he was so consistent throughout the game. But yeah, I'll go with Montez Sweat for all the reasons that's already been mentioned.
I'm going to make a public apology to Casey Toohill. I was dogging him.
Why you were dogging him? I know why you were dogging him. Last year when he hit that greedy, I know it.
I think he has the best bend on the team. I just thought he was one dimensional. He's more like a Junior Gillette type player to me. He didn't help you too much on rushing defense, but to me, he looks like he got a little bigger. Do you all kind of see that with Casey? It looks like he got a little bigger. And he kept his speed and he played very consistent in the run and in the pass. The same as JSW, Abdullah. Like this D line room is just crazy. Like it's crazy. So whenever that other guy comes back, that'll take us to another level. Hopefully, whenever he decides to come, he said Jonathan I did a hole. He did. He turned around, did it. However you can get it, he definitely get it. All right. Denver, let's do your predictions. Win or loss, give me a score, South.
I think we win this game because the Raiders beat them. And the Raiders, I think we're better than the Raiders. So I don't know about this offense, though. So it's hard for me I know it's going to be another stressful game. My blood pressure is going to be high probably until, a minute left in the game. I'll say.
How about this? The over-under is 38.
38?
Yeah, I was surprised too.
Let me see. So they want 19. Golly. I don't know. I think we actually score. I think we win 24-17 in this one.
Yeah. That looks good. What about you, Ken?
I'm going to go. I'm tempted to go both ways, but I have to choose, don't I? I'm going to go Washington 23-20. On Big Doug's podcast today, he had Benjamin Albright on. Mm-hmm. One of the best insiders for the NFL, bar none, and also a very good analyst. And he had some good points about Russell Wilson today. Russell Wilson, his bread and butter over the years is scrambling to the outside and throwing long passes that often get completions. If he does that on Sunday, Washington could be in trouble because if a play is extended, a player's going to be open downfield. It always happens. And Russell Wilson has been a master of that over the years. But if we can contain him pretty much like Las Vegas did, then I think we have a better than average chance. I think even if we can do that as well as Las Vegas did, probably even better because our D line's that good. We could win by 7, 8, 9 points, but I still think it'll be 20-23 Washington. And then if Russell Wilson does catch some fire and able to extend the game with his legs, then I could see Washington losing 28-23, but I'll stick with my 23-20 predictions.
But
go ahead.
let me talk to Ken about his little scramble thing. I get it. That's a Seattle, but that's Seattle, Russ. This is Sean Payton, Denver.
Yep.
So Sean Payton hates it. Sean Payton does not
Yeah.
want him to roll out and do all that
Yeah.
boom ball stuff. So
Yeah,
I'm a little bit less scared of him doing that with Denver because I don't know if he can still even can he I haven't watched Russell play since last year. Can he still run?
Yeah,
I don't know if he can. So
Yeah.
I don't know. We do have issues containing the quarterback for whatever reason. I hope they figured that out by now. But and I'm gonna change my answer. I'm gonna go 23-10 because I think our defense is not gonna allow them to score 17.
Okay, I think you bring up a good point about Sean Payton offense, and that's something that Benjamin Albright brought up today. He said that Sean Payton is trying to turn Russell Wilson into Drew Brees, and you can't do that. The bread and butter for Drew Brees over the years was the short and intermediate routes. He never had a strong arm, and if you ever watched Brees throughout his career, on very long passes, that wasn't him. That's Russell Wilson. So if Sean Payton continues to limit Russell Wilson, you're right. And if it happens in this game, Washington has a decent chance of winning. So it's a good point there.
For me, I said this earlier. I think we put up the points we missed last week. I think Sam Howell has a good game. I think it's gonna set up for crazy because I have the script. I'm only on page 7, so I'm getting through it. But I did get through week 2, and we're going to win in convincing fashion, and it's going to set up major national headlines for the Commanders and the Bills in week 3. So I have Sam Howell throwing 3 touchdowns, and I have us winning 31-17.
Ooh.
That's where I am.
31-17. So Deuce, when you put out your scores for last year, did you not get the script yet?
No, I ain't getting the one last year.
Oh, okay.
I had the fake one last year. I got that joint from what is it called? Timu. I got that script from Timu last year. Yeah.
No, I mean
got
last week.
Yeah. Oh yeah, last week. Yeah. I read it wrong.
Okay.
I read it wrong.
31-17. So we think we'll put up 31 points.
Yeah,
that'd be nice.
Put up some good points. Yep,
that's nice.
Yeah, man. So listen, everyone that's listening, everyone that's out there, this is going to be our Wednesday team. We're going to be going live at 5 p.m. Eastern throughout the season. South Cannon, we're going to have special guests also, and more fan special guests. So anyone that's interested in coming on chopping it up with Ken and South, just DM any of us. I'm going to drop below our Twitter handles. Please follow us. Please turn on those notifications on, like, subscribe, comment to this podcast. South, you got any last words?
I hope we win. I hope we win on Sunday, and I hope we're not as stressed out as we were this past weekend because, I think we're tired of it. I know I know a win's a win, and was like, yeah, we won the game, but like, there's something about sitting on your couch, or even at the game if you're at the game in the third quarter, early fourth quarter, and you know the game's at hand. There's something about it. There's just something about you just not like, oh, we got it in the bag. Like, let's just have a good time. But we're not that team yet. We're on the edge of our seat until, you know, late fourth. So I hope we get this dub easy peasy, relaxing. Like Houston last year. That was the only game that we had last year that we were kind of like hanging out. So hopefully it's like that.
Facts. Ken, what was your take on Sean Payton?
Well, from what I heard today in Big Doug's podcast, is that Benjamin Albright was never in favor of having Sean Payton come to Denver. I was surprised to hear that. And he gave some compelling reasons why. But he did go on to say that Sean Payton is a good coach, but he's not a great coach. So that to me is interesting. And if I can, a little bit of liberty here. I like what Souf just said. And definitely true. I'd love to have, if we don't get a blowout game sometime soon, at least a decisive win. I would like to see that. And before we go, I want to really point out something about Sunday that really, as an old time fan that's been a fan of this team for close to 60 years, is that I was so glad to see that stadium full, everybody having a great time. And I think the fans in the second half helped to make a difference in that game. I love the yelling and cheering and everything that I heard. So shout out to you and everyone, Deuce, for being there, for giving it your all. I wish I could have been at those tailgates. It looks so much fun. But obviously that's something I can't do nowadays, being so limited medically. But it warms my heart, you know, from 1,000 miles away to see all that. And I felt like I was there. So thank you for that.
Yes, sir. No problem. And again, we appreciate all of you for watching. Big Simple got it 28-10. That's what I'm talking about. Let's see, 27-4. Yeah, we putting up some buckets, man. We putting up some buckets, man. We putting up some buckets come Sunday. But again, thank you all out there for watching. Thank you for listening to Redzone In the Lab podcast. I'm Deuce. We got Ken. We got the Waterman Souf. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart.